When you receive an invoice for the purchase of inventory items, rather than the freight being built into the cost of each inventory item, it may show as a separate line item on your invoice, such as the one on my screen where we see the freight expense for $260. Or you might receive a separate freight bill altogether. In either case, you may want to distribute that freight cost to the cost of the inventory items purchased. A simple way to do that in CenterPoint is through the Distribute Freight Cost screen. Let me go ahead and close out of this and then close out of Transaction Search. And to get to the Distribute Freight Cost screen, we're going to go to Processes, Inventory, and Distribute Freight Cost to Inventory. You'll select your company at the top, then the vendor that you purchased the items from, the invoice that has the items on it for the cost that you want to distribute. So let me enter that in. When you enter that in, it'll display those items at the bottom. And then you can give it in a transaction date. I'm going to date it the same day as my invoice was. You can assign it a transaction number, and you could even set up a sequence for those transaction numbers. I'm just going to call this Distribute Freight. And there's two methods to distribute that freight. One is to distribute it based on a percent of cost. So if I choose the same freight expense account that I selected in the invoice, and then enter in the $260 and click distribute, you'll see that it's going to distribute the cost of, or the freight based off of the cost of the items that were purchased and the quantity purchased. The other way to distribute cost would be to distribute it based off of the percentage of weight. You do need to have the weights set up on the inventory item itself. So there is a place when you set up the inventory items to enter in the weights. And once you have that set up, you can then distribute it based off of weights. So if I click distribute now, you see that it changes that distribution because now it's based off of weight. In either case, when you're done, you could go ahead and click Save. I'm going to pull up that transaction in Transaction Search. So we're going to search for all, and I'm going to search for those that were entered on the Distribute Freight screen. And I'm going to edit it. And you can see when I bring that up here that the transaction is taking it out of, so it's crediting my freight expense and adding it to the individual inventory items.